Function notation. The whole point of function notation, well, it has a lot of useful things. We're only going to be doing the most basic of those. And that is, often in math, you have a lot of different equations you're working on in the same problem. So I might have one, and looking at this, that is y equals 5x minus 3, and the other one is y equals negative 4x plus 11, and then a third one is y equals 6x squared minus 9. And if I wanted to say, hey, what does y equal? What does y equal when x equals negative 8? And I ask that question, it would be very logical that you might say, well, which equation am I supposed to use? Because if I put negative 8 into this equation, I get a different y than this equation than this equation. So if you don't tell me which equation to do, I can't really use that. I can't really answer that question. So one of the reasons for function notation, and I don't know why this thing won't move, there we go, is because we might have multiple equations in the same problem. And so instead of writing y equals, they'll distinguish these. F of x, because y is a function of x, equals 5x minus 3. And since they've already used f, the next one might be g of x. But f and x of g and g of x are just other ways of writing y. Equals negative 4x plus 11. And since I've used f and g, the next one might be h of x equals 6x squared minus 9. There are other things later on when you get to pre-calculus and beyond where they might say, hey, find f of g of negative 8. And we'll come back and look at that one in just a minute and see what that's really asking us to do. But let's go back here. They say find g of negative 8. So the first thing I'm going to do, my answer starts g of negative 8 equals, and again this is red, g of negative 8. Notice the negative 8 is inside the parentheses. This is really important. The first thing I notice is the g. So I'm going to use function g, not function f and not function h. Because they gave me the thing that's inside the parentheses, notice inside the parentheses is x. So they gave me x, and they want me to find y. Now, g of negative 8 is a weird looking y, but remember, g of x is just the same thing as y equals negative 4x plus 11. They've told me that x is negative 8, so g of negative 8 means go to function g and substitute negative 8 in place of x, so negative 4 times negative 8 plus 11, and then simplify. So that would be 32 plus 11, which is 43. So this says when I go to function g, I substitute negative 8 in place of x, I get an answer of 43 for my y. Which means this says, working from the inside out, first go to function g and substitute negative 8 in place of x and see what you get. And then once you're done with that, take that answer, that 43, and substitute it in place of x in function f and see what you get. Now think about how long that took me to say that. So go to function g and substitute negative 8 in place of x and find y. Then take that answer and substitute it in for x in function f. Look at how much space it took me to say that. This little part all by itself, just that, says this whole thing. So function notation is very flexible and allows us to do something in a very small amount of space that would take a couple sentences to write out otherwise. So this says use function f. So I'm going to use this. Notice though it says find x. So my answer is x equals something. Guys, if it tells you to find x, Do not substitute the value they gave you for x. That is not x. If they told me to find x, what they gave me is the y. And remember, this equation could be y equals 5x minus 3 if it was the only equation in the problem. Oh, they gave me y. So negative 28 equals 5x minus 3. I would add 3 to both sides and get negative 25 equals 5x. Then I divide both sides by 5 to get x equals negative 5. I'm going to use function h. So this is the function I'm using. They gave me the thing inside the parentheses, so they gave me x, and they want me to find y. Do not write y ever in a final answer because, again, we have a problem with 3 different equations. But if it was the only equation here, it could have been written y equals 6x squared minus 9. Oh, they gave me x, so in this equation, I'm going to say h of negative 4 equals 6 times negative 4 in parentheses squared minus 9. You could, at this point, this is the substitution you have to show on your problems. You could do some more work steps, but it's not required. Again, they asked me to find h of negative 4, so my answer starts h of negative 4 equals. If I'm going to do this the long way, negative 4 times itself is positive 16. 6 times 16 is 96, because I would do the order of operations. Exponents before multiplication and division, before addition and subtraction. And then 96 minus 9 is 87. So if I go to function h, I substitute negative 4 in for the x, I get an answer of 87. Use function h again. They gave me the thing inside the parentheses, so they gave me x. They want me to find y. So my answer, h of 12 equals, well, 6 times 12 squared minus 9. Again, you could at this point plug this in your calculator and get the answer. Otherwise, it's 6 times 144 minus 9. And that's 864 minus 9, which is 855. This means if I graphed y equals 6x squared minus 9, a point on that line is the point 12, 855. They say find x. Oh, find x. So what they gave me was y. They want me to use function g. So this is the one I'm going to use now. Remember, they gave me y, so like y equals negative 4x plus 11. They gave me the y, so 16 equals negative 4x plus 11. To solve this, I would subtract 11 from both sides to get negative 4x equals 5. And I divide by negative 4. X equals negative 1.25. I need my equals in there. So, which function are they asking me to use? Did they give me x or y? What are they asking me to find? And inside the answer blank, if they said h of 12, my answer is h of 12 equals something. If they said find x, my answer is x equals something. And then the last one, use function f. They gave me the thing inside the parentheses, which is x, so they want me to find y. So they gave me x. So 5 times 6 minus 3 is 30 minus 3. So they asked me to find f of 6. F of 6 equals 27.